Hey mama, welcome to the One Income Family podcast. Are you stressing over not being able to stick to your budget? Do you maybe worry about the inconsistency of living paycheck to paycheck? Are you anxiously waiting for the next ball to drop, the next unexpected expense to fall from the sky? That is what today is all about. These 3 systems that I'm going to share with you will put boundaries in place, making it possible to not stick to your budget, right? So you will have to stick to your budget. It will end the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle and the inconsistency, but most importantly, it will put things in place to ease the pressure that unexpected expenses bring. So go cuddle up with a nice warm drink, get comfy with them babies, and open your heart to God as we head into today's episode. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Are you living paycheck to paycheck and you're sick of the inconsistency? I was you. We lived the dreaded paycheck to paycheck lifestyle. We paid bills first, which left us with inconsistent amounts each and every paycheck to put towards everything else. It was hard to track. It was hard to save. Budgeting, just simply put, was a nightmare. That is what I don't want you to have to deal with any longer. It's time to get out of the paycheck to paycheck lifestyle that you're living. It's time to be able to start saving money and working with consistent amounts each and every time you sit down to budget, even if you have an inconsistent income. It's time to book a budget audit so that you can achieve the financial peace that you are looking for. And all you have to do is email me at mollybennell@gmail.com with the subject line budget audit, so that we can figure out the steps that you need to take to get you from where you are right now to where you want to be. Again, email me at mollybennell@gmail.com. That's MOLLY, B as in boy, ENELL @gmail.com with the subject line budget audit. So just like you, when I started my one income journey, I was riding the whole paycheck to paycheck lifestyle that I feel like everybody at some point in time gets on, right? It's a boat that is just inevitable when you have never really been taught how to manage your finances. And so as I'm sitting down and I'm doing my finances back then, I was always worried about not being able to pay for things afterwards, right? You'd sit down, you take care of your bills, and then whatever's left over is what you get to use on everything else, all your other expenses that you have, the spending that you need to do that are needs, the things that you want to do, the fun things that you want to do, not just the have to do's, right? And I specifically remember this one time, I sat down to budget. And I got everything split up, got the amounts separated that I needed for groceries, got bills paid, got everything that was a need taken care of. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we have $102 left over this paycheck, or maybe it was $130 or something like that. I don't remember the exact amounts. But I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, guess what I can do? I can go buy this, I can't think of what it's called, but this little cabinet thing that I want to put in the kitchen that I can hang coats on. And there's like a little bench on it so that we can stop throwing our coats everywhere all over the floor. I should say that I've never actually gotten that, no matter how many times I actually wanted to get it. But I was still so excited. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's go buy this. Let's go do this. But then as reality kicked in, once the excited emotions wore off, I was like, in all reality, though, is that something that needs to be taken care of right now? Is that a true need? Which happens every single time that would come up, right? And I would be excited, and then I'd come to reality with it and be like, okay, well, it's not really actually going to happen, which is why I've yet to buy it. But I still remember how excited I would get when I had a little more money than what we would normally have on a weekly basis, because usually what we did was we paid our bills. We then went and got groceries right away. Then we had a little bit of gas left over. And what was left over from that was essentially used on going out to eat, which really wasn't all that much. And I remember just being so overwhelmed and stressed about the situation that I couldn't save money. I couldn't do anything with it. My husband wanted to do all these things and our finances just could not afford it. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, why can't I save money? Why can't I do all of this stuff? And then as I started learning how to budget a little bit better, I came across a system that is kind of like mine, but it's different at the same time because it's a percentage-based one where you just put all your money in one account and you say, well, this percentage goes to food, this percentage goes to housing. It was really good to do that system because it then allowed me to be introduced to a system that's kind of like a digital cash envelope system. It is one in a way, but it also made it still hard for me to save because we just ended up spending everything in that account instead of keeping what needed to stay there. Like we had a transportation account and it was supposed to be used for our registration. It was supposed to be used for maintenance and repairs. It was supposed to be used for gas, but guess what it only got used for? Gas. There was never anything else left in there saved up for the other needs that could come up because we only ever used it for gas because we just drove around the countryside and used it all the time instead of going, oh, I don't have the gas. Maybe I should stay home this time. Still something we're working on. But you get what I'm saying. Like I wasn't able to keep up with the savings aspect of it until I then got into the system that I use now. And that is why I just really want to share it with you because it has made budgeting itself stress-free. Like I know that money is going to be in my bills account and I don't have to worry about my bills not being paid. I know that money is going to be there to be able to buy groceries, to be able to get the gas that we need, and then be able to do whatever we want with the rest and actually save up for it and still have a little bit of spending money in there as well. And so that is a system that I'm going to share with you. And I say system, but there's actually like 3 different systems in it. Or maybe it's all one system and 3 different methods. I don't know. I get confused with the language, but you get what I'm saying, right? So the first part of this that I want to share with you is the digital cash envelope system. And this has made my life stress-free simply by putting in place boundaries. I am able to see how much money is in each account when I go to spend or make a purchase. Then I know how much I have to use or how much I don't have to use. There's no questioning. There's only exact fact. I can see what is there. I don't have to go back to my budget, back to my tracking and question how much money is actually in that account or in that category, I should say. It is exactly the amount that is there that's in that account, as long as that's the way I have it set up, right? Because you can put more than one category into an account. But that's getting a little bit the cart ahead of the horse there. So but it has boundaries. And those boundaries, it is what makes it darn near impossible to not be able to stick to your budget. The next thing that this system does for you is it makes you mindful of your purchasing decisions because you are able to physically see how much money is in that account remaining for you to use on whatever you need in that category. You then are more mindful of your purchases because you're like, okay, I only have like $3 left. Can I go and buy this or should I wait? Is there something down the line that I actually need to buy? Now, $3 is a little excessive for that, but, and I don't know why that's the number that popped in my head, but you get what I'm saying. It makes you more mindful of your purchases because also if you are saying, oh, I want to buy this thing, but I don't have any spending money left over, in order to buy that thing, that means I have to physically transfer money from a different account. And by transferring money from one of those other accounts, I might be affecting being able to buy groceries. I might be affecting being able to pay my bills or whatever else I'm deciding to transfer that money from, because 90% of the time, we're not going to transfer something that we want like that from a savings account. It's going to be from another checking account. And so this system just really makes you more mindful when you have to physically transfer the money from one account to another. It eliminates the need to track simply to stay on budget. And like I said, that right there is the biggest thing that just makes this system so awesome, not being able to or not needing to track simply to stay on budget. Yes, you still want to track some things so that you know where your money's going and you can shift amounts if need be. But just to stay on budget, like that is, I feel like the sole purpose of tracking is simply to know how much money is left in each account, and it may not be the sole purpose, but it is a big part of how an original normal budget works when you have it all in one account, because then you have to actually stick with tracking. And that right there is the hardest part to sticking to your budget, because nobody wants to track, especially right there in the moment. Now, back when we used checks all the time, yes, it might have been easier to be able to constantly track your finances because we were using ledgers attached to our checks. Because if we didn't have that, then it was just like all up in the air, not knowing how much money was left in that account, right? But things have gotten easier. We now have apps that show us how much money is left in each account. And so we don't want to track anymore. So if you're not wanting to track, then set up a system that doesn't need to be tracked so that you know how much money is in your account. Okay, so setting up this system is simply just opening multiple accounts. I suggest a minimum of 8 accounts, which I have an episode on. It will be in the show notes if you'd like to learn more about that and the accounts that I suggest you have. But that is simply all you have to do for setting up the system is open multiple accounts and then name them. Have a purpose for them so that you know what that account is for. So then the second system that I bring to you that makes life, or not life, but it makes budgeting stress-free, man, that did not want to come out there, is my monthly budget or base budget system. And this system is essentially where you evenly distribute the same amount of money into your bill account or into your spending account or whatever it is each and every paycheck. So it's a system so that you know where each dollar is going and you don't have to guess. It's a system that allows you to not only plan, but prepare for unexpected expenses using your savings account, because the system allows you to be able to do that. You know where every dollar is going because you are able to put an exact amount into each thing. And the biggest part of this system is the bills system that's tied to it. And that is where you have put your bills all into one, and you've figured out how much each paycheck equally you have to put into that account. And so you're paying the same exact amount each and every paycheck. So you're not going, oh, I'm doing $1,000 this paycheck and $200 next paycheck to pay all my bills. It's evenly dispersed, 600 this paycheck, 600 that paycheck. And that is it. It makes it so simple so that you are able to put that same amount into your budget and then actually be able to know what to do with the rest of your income. There's no flex to it. Well, being flexible is necessary, but there's no inconsistency. Every single month, every single paycheck, your numbers are the same. Now, that is just simply the monthly budget part of it, but the base budget part of it, so there's multiple different systems in this system, which can get a little confusing. But the base budget part of this is that you figure out the smallest amount that you are going to bring in at a given time. So maybe you are bringing in, or your husband's bringing in overtime every single week. Then you need to go and figure out what the smallest number is that he would bring in a paycheck to budget off of. That's what this base budget is based off of, so that your base necessities and your base needs are taken care of under that base budget, and then your goals and everything else are covered by the rest of it. This is how you find yourself being able to live under your means instead of above your means. Because if you go and you base your paycheck off of let's say your base paycheck is $1,100 every other week, and this paycheck that you've been getting regularly is closer to $1,500. Well, if you go and you take out debt, which I don't suggest doing unless you are getting your car or your house, but you go and you get maybe a car loan for $600, and you sit down and you realize that that's okay when I'm making $1,500 a month, because I'm still $200 extra to put towards whatever I want. But I cannot make that $600 payment if I'm making my base amount at $1,200 instead of at the $1,500, because I'm then getting $300 more a paycheck than I regularly am, which if I have $200 extra after that, that means that there's $100 there that isn't accounted for if I'm not making the $1,500 a month, right? Or not a month, a pay cycle. And so that right there is a big sign of whether or not you should take debt out. You should never base it off of overtime. I definitely want to say that, but that is why I'm telling you to create a base budget so that you aren't going, well, this is what I'm getting regularly, but when you have sick days or when you have holidays and you have PTO days, you're only getting 8 hours of your normal regular pay, which means that you're not going to make the however many extra hours you make. Say it's another 10 hours. So that's 50 hours instead of the 40 hours. So what is your base pay? What can you for sure know that you are going to get every single paycheck? And the rest is just a plus, and it's exciting, and it's woohoo, I have this other stuff that I can achieve my goals with faster, right? And so that is what I want you to do. So I want you to sit down to set this up. I want you to sit down and figure out what your smallest number is that you are going to bring in, and then create a monthly budget based off of that, so that you then can go into the next system with reoccurring numbers, because you're going to have consistent numbers that are going to be the same every single time you sit down for your paycheck plan, which is the next system. And you are going to be able to then just quickly and easily plug those numbers in, know what is remaining, and quickly allocate the rest of that, which is the next system, right? That's the paycheck plan. But if you don't have those numbers, you don't know what your reoccurring numbers are, then you're not going to be able to quickly and easily paycheck plan in like 5 to 10 minutes, right? And that is a system that we want to do quickly. We want to do it efficiently. So we set up our monthly base budget like not quickly, but we do it efficiently so that it is ready to go. And you only have to go in and change that monthly base budget up if you get a new job. Maybe check it over every 3 months, right? Like quarterly, at least yearly, so that if there are bills that need to be added to it or bills taken away from it, you can update it as life ebbs and flows, right? And so I know I've kind of already went into it, but the third system then that I want you to really dive into that's going to take the stress off of budgeting is having a paycheck plan, which essentially is just your monthly budget condensed into a paycheck form. So say your monthly budget is based on the whole month, right? Because that's usually how we live. We buy groceries usually monthly or bi-monthly, sometimes weekly, depending on how into it you are, right? And I always say to save money and be more frugal, do it at least every 2 months because that's usually how long produce lasts. Did I say months? I meant weeks. Every 2 weeks. But you want to be able to do the paycheck plan when you get your money in, right away when it comes in, right? That is what I want you to do. And so how you do that, you condense your monthly budget by like figuring out how many weeks you are actually getting paid. So if it's a bi-weekly system, you'll take your monthly amounts divided by 2, right? Or if it's a weekly system, you'll divide it by 4, or in the 5-week system, you'll divide it by 5 on those months where there are 5 weeks, right? So that is what the paycheck plan is, and it's simply just having your recurring amounts from your monthly budget and plugging those in real fast so that you can simply figure out what is remaining from what you've brought in and allocate it to where it needs to go. This is where life changes, right? This is where your goals are met. This is where you're able to see how much money that you can put towards that car to pay it off, or towards the credit card debt that you're trying to get rid of, or maybe start saving for that vacation you're looking forward to, or start implementing some savings buckets that you really would like to have, but you can't afford in your normal monthly base budget. This is where the magic happens. This is where you're able to just take a deep breath. You're able to start saving up for those emergency funds, those unexpected things that maybe are expected and you've just forgotten about, right? And that is like where the stress just melts off. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that this like gets rid of every single piece of stress. But what it does do is it eliminates the stress that comes with not knowing what to do, not knowing how to set up the budget. You'll be able to sit down and quickly, efficiently, put your money where it needs to go. You'll be able to transfer the money with confidence instead of questioning if what you're doing is right or not. You'll be able to sit down and show your numbers to your husband so that you are on the same page. And if there's something that he wants to shift or change, then you can do it without struggle, right? And that right there is like the best part of this system, is just the ability to communicate it, the ability to be able to see the actual facts, the ability to prevent the overspending on both your side and your husband's side, depending on who's the spender and who's the saver, right? That is the magical part of this. Alrighty, so I'm going to wrap this up here because I got a little sicky on my lap right now and she's not feeling very great. But I do want to let you know that if you would like more information on these 3 systems, I have put a lot of resources that I have recorded on already, other episodes, in the show notes, so you could go check that out. If you would like help, like actual physical help, this is something that I do. I can help you set up these systems in a heartbeat, and I love doing it. So if that's something that you would like to look into, maybe, You can do that by emailing me at mollybanal@gmail.com and asking for a free budget audit so that we can look through what you've already got and I can share with you the systems and maybe help you actually start putting them in place, right? And doing it in a way that works for you and your family, not just a cookie cutter sheet that everybody does, right? I don't want that cookie cutter system. I want a plan for you that's customizable for you and what you want to do. So again, you can book your budget audit simply by emailing me at mollybanal@gmail.com. And with that being said, I will see you right back here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast.